welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are all doing well and you're all blessed. I've not been able to film as much as I wanted to as well, which is kind of annoying, and I really feel like I need to get back onto my research because I haven't been able to do, or not that I've been able, I haven't been doing as much research in terms of like stuff to do in New Age and the history of things, because it really helps to obviously know a lot of knowledge behind stuff, and I really like to keep updating my knowledge and keep researching, and I feel like I've slacked on that a bit recently, so I really want to get back onto that. But one thing that I have seen lately that I was not surprised by, but still it's just still disappointing to see, and I've spoke about this before, I think on my TikTok, where I've spoke about what they were doing in some of the children's cartoon programs. And again, when I was on Instagram the other day and I saw Marcus Rogers post a picture of Disney's new cards that they brought out, and I've obviously done videos before on my YouTube discussing tarot cards and stuff like that, I was just like, wow, they're definitely coming for the kids. I mean, we've always known that they've been coming for the kids, but to see how much witchcraft they're implementing now into kids programs, stuff that they know kids are going to want, like toys, and even into like films, it's crazy. There's a lot of different cartoon programs where they've got witchcraft in. Obviously we know that this has been going on for a long time, you know, a lot of big things like Harry Potter and all these kind of things like have been in our face, and especially towards the kids for a while. And we know that some of the spells in that, although I'm sure they're not particularly high ones or whatever you want to call it, but some of the spells in that are supposed to be real. Oh wow, I don't know if you guys can see this bird. I don't know if my camera would have picked that up. But like, I kept hearing this like scratching me in my door, and this like sort of like black colour going across, and I was just like, what is that? And then it kept making the noise. It was proper freaking me out, so I went and checked it. Some type of bird, because there's so much scaffolding going on outside my place right now. But yeah, I totally lost my train of thought there. That bird totally distracted me. So that is also very creepy, and obviously when you learn and study about black magic and the demonic world. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing to see how much this is kind of like escalating now, and how much it's really in our face. And obviously we know there's been stuff like to do with witchcraft and witches, and even when I look back to some of the things I used to watch, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like I used to love that program. Like, again, you're being kind of indoctrinated from such a young age into these type of concepts, thinking it's innocent and making it like fun, and, you know, kids, I'm sure, put it into games and all types of things. So, you know, even when I look back at some of the things I used to watch, what was the other thing about with the three witches? I can't remember what it's called now, but some people might know what it is. If you do, put it below. That's going to really annoy me. But there was like three witches. I think it was like three white girls. Yeah. Anyway, I used to watch that, and when I look back, I'm like, wow, like it's like sorcery in front of you. And I've spoke about this, and we've in videos before, and obviously you can see biblically here that sorcery is not something to mess around with. It's not something God takes lightly. And obviously I was involved in these new age concepts for a very long time. I was deceived and didn't realize what I was doing, and I praise God all the time for bringing me out of that. But it's just really scary how much it is, you know, increasing with the stuff with the kids, because like I said, I always feel like it's been around. Like I remember stuff from when I was young that was definitely witchcraft in it, and spells and all these kind of things, but I just feel like it's just getting worse and worse. And obviously because we're in end times, of course it's going to be ramping up right now. The devil's going to be up in the work. I also spoke before about how I feel like the spiritual warfare is heavier right now. And when I was looking at this, and then I saw this picture, I was like, wow, like now they've got tarot cards for kids. I literally did a video about tarot cards, and how we should be, you know, extremely cautious. We shouldn't be using these type of things because often they are communicating with demonic spirits. You are communicating with the demonic world. That's often what's given us a lot of these answers, because they kind of represent themselves as different things to what they are, even like our loved ones, etc. Like they're communicating like they're something else. We all know that, you know, Lucifer comes as an angel of light, and you know, when we're using these cards, you don't know what kind of portals you're opening up, what kind of invitations you're putting out. It's just a world we don't want to go into, and we know biblically that that's not what we should be doing. We should be praying to God and going for our answers, not having to look into an outside source for that. And that's definitely where I've made the mistake before, you know, and we can talk about many different things that we go to as outside sources, but it's definitely something that, you know, would really freak me out now, and I wouldn't mess with that kind of stuff. And when you look at the occult, and like a lot of what these high up Satanists were doing, you know, some of them, I think it was Anton LaVey, but please do correct me if I'm wrong, because it could be somebody else, that had their own version of tarot cards. And when you look at what they use in the occult and how the New Age got, like I've spoke before, got brought over by Helen Blavatsky over here, and they taught a lot of cards was one of these things that was involved with many others, you know, and it's that you can see where this is coming from. And if it's opening up portals when we're using them, and now they're doing it as kids' toys, it's like, yeah, that's scary, because now kids are going to be playing with these Disney cards thinking that they're just a fun game and stuff, and you don't understand what that's going to attract, again, what portals that's going to open. So many of us, even when we have certain beliefs, focus so much on the physical and like, oh, it's kind of no big deal. When you kind of get wrapped up into the worldly kind of view on things, you forget what's going on in the spiritual, because we can't necessarily always see it blatantly here. Like, it's so easy to kind of disregard and forget, and you don't actually realize. And it's like, do we really want to be taking those kind of risks? And now it's coming at our children. Like, that's really scary, because, and this is why I think it's so important to have this awareness out there of these new age practices, because they're becoming so mainstream. And I always say, you know, they're not being pushed mainstream because the truth is coming out, because we already know the mainstream is still not spitting the truth. They're being pushed mainstream because it's deception, because it's from Lucifer, because it's pushing their agenda, which is all to do with the devil, because we know the hyperlete are devil worshippers, basically. So for me, it's like, when I'm seeing this, it's just, yeah, it's scary. And I just hope that more education can be put out there, because obviously a lot of people aren't going to know about this kind of stuff. So it's not like, you know, I mean, like I said, a lot of it is just out of ignorance, because people don't know. So it's not like they're purposely harming kids, or, you know, harming their children by buying this kind of stuff, because a lot of people innocently don't know and don't understand, because it's so well hidden. And this is why it's so important for this to be spoke about and be prayed on, and, you know, really pray that this stuff gets exposed and, you know, gets taken away from our kids, because it's extremely scary, to have them kind of attachments to you and things like that. And I just feel like having those things in your house, like I did another video, you know, a while back, where I threw all my new age stuff when I first changed my beliefs out of my house into the bin. Obviously I'm not going to give it away, because I don't want anyone else having that stuff. I threw it all away into the bin, and I just don't even like the thought of that, having it in my house, because I just feel like even having those type of cards in my house, it's an invitation there. And to me, it's just kind of eerie now. I don't like having it there, but it's just the way it's coming for the kids, and it's being pushed more and more in cartoons, especially in like a lot of younger kids' cartoons as well. I've noticed it's increased in a lot of the younger ages, which again is very worrying. And I've spoke about before, I think it was on one of my Instagram videos, where Sephora, I tried to put a clip in of it here, where Sephora were trying to, and I think it actually got taken down because people are actually offended, but not in the right way, if that makes sense. But where they were trying to have a witchcraft kit for kids, and they were going to sell that in Sephora, and it had I think it had like a mini fake sage, and it had all types of different new agey things in it. And I was just like, it honestly sickens me. That's why we need to pray so hard against this, and that's why obviously spiritual warfare is going to be so important right now. But yeah, it's a lot, and I think it definitely needs to be spoke about, because they're getting away with putting so much stuff right in front of our faces, and it's insane. And obviously boycotting stuff, never purchasing these things, is obviously the best thing to do, because by feeding in the money, you're feeding in energy into these companies and into these demons. So yeah, it's just, I pray that I really, really pray that kids aren't involved in this, and that, you know, the kids are going to be saved from this kind of witchcraft, because this is just insane. But yeah, it's definitely a topic that I wanted to talk about, because I feel like it's just getting pushed more and more. And like I always say, there's a reason why this new age stuff is being pushed this way, and unfortunately it's not a good one. And I really, really hope that, you know, people look into things, and more people start to understand the origin of things and where they come from, and and get saved, basically. But like I've said, the truth is learnt, never told. So even when I sort of realized what I was doing, it's kind of like God knew which way to go about showing me so that I would actually listen. And I think everyone's way is different. But YouTube video, or the channel Truth Unedited, I've spoke about my testimony, really helped me. That's what kind of woke me up to realize where I was going wrong, and then it sort of kind of spiraled from there, really. But yeah, it's just crazy. So obviously we know we're in end time, so we know we're going to have to stay strong, keep our armor of God on, because we're going to need it. And again, I pray that everyone's doing well. Stay strong, and I hope to see you guys in my next video, and keep exposing this witchcraft, but make sure you're covered.